When I left you last, it was December 2nd of 2020. I had just made the decision that I was going to leave and end the physical and emotional and mental abuse that I had been enduring for over 5 years at that point. In the months prior to all of that happening, there were victories that happened, and I don't want to diminish those at all because my kids and I had worked so hard to make this place as happy as we could. We had made it our home. We had had movie nights and game nights. I had learned how to cut vinyl and was sitting and picking out tiny little pieces and rebuilding that dexterity in my hands. I was doing yoga to be able to bring my mind and my body back together. I was doing breath work to remind my system that it was okay to take a breath. I was training with a dog who now has turned into this incredible service animal that no matter what was going on or no matter what noise was around us, she was always my strong and steady. And she still is. I had gotten my driver's license back. And not only that, but I had gotten a car so that when the time came, I was ready and I could be sufficient on my own. We ended up packing all of my things up on that fateful day. After I called my mom, she and my dad pulled up into that driveway with boxes ready. We packed up everything that was still left that I hadn't already hidden away in boxes in the closets. And my friends showed up for me and they said, let's do this. We can do this. They helped me to pack all of my things up in these boxes and load them into cars and take it away, not knowing what tomorrow would bring, but I knew that it would have had to have been better than yesterday. It had to be. I spent the night at my mom's, and the next day I got this phone call from an apartment complex back that said, hey, we have the perfect place for you and it's open. It was in my price range and it had just enough space because we don't need a lot, because my kids and I, we want to be together. So it had this one tiny bedroom that my kids would fit into just right, and a dining room that was fit to be a bedroom for me, and we were happy. Our dog took up more room than we would have wanted, but that was okay. And we spent time laughing and loving each other and going on walks. They would watch me as I would leave to go to the gym and wave out the door, knowing that I was going to do something that I didn't think I would ever get to do again. But they were supporting every move that I made because we didn't know if that day would ever come. I'm not a miserable person, and I'm not worthless. And it took me a really long time to get to that point. And if I had said that I didn't backslide, I would be lying. Because on average, in every abusive relationship, they go back 7 times on average. 7 times. At this point, I had already left a handful of times and had gone back and just tried it again because this time would be better. This time things would be different. But it's never different. This time, after we had gone and we had moved into this apartment and we were happy and we were fine, he found a way to reach back out again and just needed to talk. He just needed my help with something because I just help him so much. So I did. If you ask me why, I couldn't give you an answer. I'm not sure. Because a part of me wanted to believe that I could love him enough that maybe he would love himself. That I could hold his pieces of his puzzle together so tightly in my hands that maybe we could finally have a picture together. But it doesn't work that way. I spent time with him there in the home that used to be mine. And for a while, things seemed like maybe it would be okay. But then the yelling started all over again. And the lies started to just unravel. And the truth started to come out in waves. In the person that I was, I deserve better than this. I deserve you to treat me better than this. I'm a good person. And his response would always be, why? Because you're nice to everybody. I think they call that a flirt. Instead of seeing this generosity within me, where I just want to empower other people around me, he saw it as a threat. And so he had to squish that. He had to take that power and suffocate it. So I would walk away for a bit because I would start to see his true colors, and I would get away and I would make myself small so that maybe he wouldn't see me, but he would always find a way to reach back out and just pick me back up and put me right back in his space. Eventually, I decided that I needed to get further away from him. So we moved a distance away, and I was able to separate myself for a moment. And just when things started getting good, when I got a promotion into a new position with a new company where they said, hey, we see you doing this small thing. We want you to do it big because we see something in you. And I believed them. It was just when it started to get good again that he reached back out. Because it seems to always be that the good ones, just as things start getting incredible for them, that's when the bad ones want to snatch it away. Because we can't have a good life without them. We're only who we are because of them. And so I gave in, and I decided that I needed to make a move closer again so that I could be with him and be near him. So my ex-husband, and the generous human being that he is, him and his new wife, who's incredible, they invite me to stay in their home because I don't have anywhere else to go and I need to move as soon as possible. So the boys and I pick all of our things up and we move it all to their dads, and it's lovely. I get to see my babies every single day, and my ex-husband, who just happens to be one of my dearest friends, and his new wife, who also just happens to be so close to my heart, they were right there. And yet I made the decision to walk away from all of it, to be able to go back to a man who would tell me that every bad thing in his life was my fault. That I couldn't do the job that I was doing before because it was too hard for me. That I'm not just a good person, it's just that I'm nice. What makes you good, he would say. You don't have wealth. You don't have stability. Look at you living in a place that no one would ever imagine living with their ex. And you think that makes you good. And I would allow him to continue to tear down my life in this manner until eventually he would convince me that we needed to move. Eventually he would convince me that we just needed to start over. So we would buy a camping van and we would apply for this job at a campground up north, which happened to turn out to be an incredible thing for me. We would move to the UP. And I would drive every week to be able to come down so that I was still getting to see my lifeline of my children throughout that summer while they spent it with their dad. And it was terrible. It was incredible. But life alone with him was terrible. The part of my story that comes next goes downhill before it goes back up. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you listening. And if you have been through abuse, I promise you that my story gets better. And I promise you that it could get better for you too if you're still in that place. And I hope that this gives you hope.